So welcome everybody to We Can. Uh, Indigenous Outreach Team is doing a lunch and learn today. And we're really glad to have you all with us. It's really exciting to see so many people who are interested in this topic. My name is Catherine Maas. I'm on the board at We Can, and I'm the team lead of the Indigenous Outreach Team. I'm going to be facilitating the session today. And I'd also like to introduce Monica. Wave at us, Monica, so they can see you. Monica is going to be doing the technical side of things for us today. So if you happen to have technical questions, you can address them straight to Monica in the chat. And she'll try to help you in the chat if you're running into technical problems. I'm coming to you from unceded territories of the Lekwungen speaking people, otherwise known as Victoria, very near mile zero of the Trans-Canada Highway. And I wanted to invite all of you to take a moment as we get started to introduce yourselves in chat and let us know where you're coming from. If you are able to identify the territory that you're coming from, that would be really wonderful. And that'll give us all a chance to see the diversity that is coming into this group today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest. Holly Johnson is employed by the Skidegate Band Council on Haida Gwaii as a climate action coordinator. She focuses on planning and coordinating energy and climate activities and deliverables that are associated with capacity building, clean energy, demand side management, and community engagement. Holly's a very enthusiastic, she's enthusiastic about learning about new renewable technologies, and she's passionate about energy and doing her part to preserve the environment for future generations. During her spare time, she goes out exploring the beautiful environment on Haida Gwaii and loves photography. So we're looking forward to hearing from you today. Take it away, Holly.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to first thank you for inviting me today. I'm speaking here from the traditional territory of the Haida Nation, and I've been working with Skidegate Band Council now for about 2 years. So I'm very excited to be here and share a bit about what the community has been doing to support climate action. So yeah, I guess I'll start off just by saying that Haida Gwaii produces approximately 10 million liters of diesel burned annually, and emissions on Haida Gwaii represent more than 50% of the total remote communities' electricity emissions in the province of BC, and more than 5% of Canada's. So we, as a small island, actually have a very big impact on our greenhouse gas emissions. So yeah, we're doing our part to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, build capacity, and at the same time, bring economic prosperity into the community through some of our exciting initiatives that we're working on. So yeah, I'll talk first a little bit about heat pump technician training. That's one way in which we've been creating pathways to energy sovereignty. And we started, I guess the need came up about a year ago. There's 350 heat pumps installed in Skidegate back in 2016. So it was getting to a place where the community really it was coming to a time where the heat pumps needed to be fixed. And because we're such a remote island, we're about 7-hour ferry ride to the mainland, and without any heat pump company on island, it really made us think of like what are some solutions we can create to build capacity within the community and to create work and economic prosperity within the community. And so this is where we partnered up with Coastal Heat Pumps, and we started off with 6 trainees, and they came up and what we've been doing is going over to all the heat pumps in the community, and Coastal Heat Pumps has been training individuals interested in learning about heat pumps. And you know, the goal with that has been that when Coastal Heat Pumps leaves and people need quick fixes, that there's somebody in the community that they can call and that can be there, especially during winter months. Like we're rolling into like, yeah, we're rolling into storm season, we're rolling into winter, and you know, it's not just a simple matter of calling somebody up and they'll be there, you know, within, you know, an hour to fix the heat pumps. We need to come up with solutions ourselves. So Garrett Russ, he's amazing. He's been the champion and has really super smart guy, and has really been the go-to through this training, and has learned a lot. And not only Garrett is learning to be a heat pump maintenance technician, but he's also going through some energy audit training through Indigenous Clean Energy. So that yeah, that's, you go into homes and you look at windows and doors, drafts, leakages, and yeah, so he'll be one of the first trained energy auditors on Haida Gwaii. There's no energy auditors on Haida Gwaii, so he'll be able to do home retrofits after this program is complete. So yeah, the heat pump training has really been a really interesting exercise in like evaluating, you know, need and evaluating like how can we bring power into the community. And so, you know, it's a day-by-day thing. Every day it's like there's people that need their heat pumps fixed, and it's like where you kind of learn like one person at a time, you know, and it's really rewarding, it's really interesting, it's really hard work, it can be really frustrating. But you know, within that process, you really problem solve. And so, you know, one thing like that has been highlighted through this process, and some key areas where I think exciting developments could be made to kind of build on this heat pump technician training, would be like a heat pump maintenance technician training curriculum, you know, led by Indigenous coastal communities, and like in collaboration with maybe an educational institution and a heat pump company, like building up a solid training curriculum. Because right now it's coastal heat pumps coming in and just on site, but it's like in talking with other communities along the coast, we're not the only one with this need. There are other Indigenous communities along the coast that are also facing this similar problem as well. So it's like, why don't we collaborate together and create a program, a learning program. So that's kind of like been something that I've been thinking about a lot, that I think that would be really great. It would be really valuable. And so yeah, I'm really excited about it. I've been talking to Garrett about it as well, because he's, you know, he's like the source of knowledge going out into the community. And so yeah, I've been really thinking about that a lot, and see great value in something like that being created. And you know, even like a coalition, you know, a coalition formed as well with heat pump technicians. Like, you know, all just ideas, but I think it would be really valuable, and it would, like, you know, it would be sharing information, it would be supporting each other, it would be, again, like power. And so yeah, like even having some sort of like heat pump technician coalition where Indigenous communities along the coast can serve each other. And so so yeah, like it's just, you know, it's, you start with one thing and it builds and builds, and it's like more ideas come out of it. And so yeah, this heat pump initiative has been really exciting. So that's one initiative we've been working on. And we're also embarking on a second initiative, and it's deep home energy retrofits. So residential energy use represents over 50% of total electrical energy use in Skidegate and Old Masset. So embarking on these deep home energy retrofits could serve to be one of the single largest impacts on total emission reductions on the island. Yeah, we've just started. We're working with Coast Build, and we're implementing this deep home energy retrofit in a phased approach. So Coast Build has come up in August. They did their first assessment. So they looked at 40 homes in Skidegate and 40 homes in Old Masset, and then they're coming back in November and doing an assessment as well. So they're checking for windows, doors. They're doing a full home assessment to look at what sort of energy upgrades can be made to make the home healthier. And you know, in thinking about this process of this deep home energy retrofit, like the way I see it is like, it's not like, you know, doing these home energy retrofits, it's not just like, you know, reducing your energy bills, right? Because that's one of the outcomes, is like saving on energy bills. But it's also like, it serves like way more than just, the purpose is served way more, I think, in just like replacing new doors and windows. Like it impacts your mental health, it impacts your physical health, it improves your economic health. You know, it's like, you know, you're not just, you know, if you insulate your windows, you're not as drafty, you're less prone to get sick. You know, you're saving energy bills. You know, that allows for more economic flexibility to spend money on things that you could be spending your money on, that you'd like to be spending your money on. And when you have more economic flexibility, you know, you're less anxious, you're less stressed, you know. So it is really like, it's not just like fixing your home. It's like, you know, it's healing all these other elements as well. In my perspective, that's how I see it. So I think it's a really, really important initiative. And so yeah, that's what we're starting. And so, you know, we've just gotten some funding through New Relationship Trust, which is great because funding is such a critical component in making this project work. I think, you know, funding, like securing funding, like, you know, that funding is going to be there for the next 2 or 3 years. Like that's more security in the project. So it's like, yeah, like energy security, like making sure that like you can trust that this process, the project and processes actually can be finished till the very end, and it's not going to stop because you don't have enough funding to complete the project. So yeah, and like not only that, like, you know, with this home energy retrofit, like it's going to be capacity building as well. So, you know, Coast Build is going to be training up individuals. Like there's already people really interested that will be joining, that have been joining them in training. So they'll be training up people within the community as well. So capacity building. And, you know, the intent with that is, you know, once individuals have been trained up, when Coast Build leaves, the work can still continue. And the work can still be done within the community, and the community members are doing the work. And so, you know, eventually the intent is that, yeah, like the expertise will be in the community. So yeah, really like exciting. So with capacity building, and then we've also been talking about like bringing up training as well. So like, you know, there's phenomenal expertise here in the community, like, you know, carpenters and trades, but like, you know, there's lots of different upgrades, you know, standards that are been upgraded, that happen with upgrades. So it's like kind of just having people come up and teach on the latest and greatest. So, you know, the intent is to also have that happen at the same time. So building capacity, educational training, yeah, so yeah, it's really, really exciting. Like I'm really excited for this work. I'm really excited about the project. And yeah, so, that's some of the stuff we've been working on. Garrett, again, he's working on the heat pump. He's been doing heat pump training, and he's going through the energy audit training through Indigenous Clean Energy. And then we also created a job within the community as well called a home energy efficiency specialist. And so that role has been catered to the energy needs of the community. So, for example, the heat pumps. And also BC Hydro has a conservation program in which they send like home upgrade equipment. So like new faucets, new like aerators, like shower aerators, and new light bulbs and insulation. So Garrett also goes around and like installs that equipment as well. So it's like, it's just a role to, it's a role to fulfill all the different needs within the community. So so yeah, this home energy efficiency specialist has been great. We got funding through NRCan to support that role, which has been great. And yeah, so those are some of the things that we've been working on. And yeah, it's been exciting. Yeah.
Wow, it's very exciting to hear all this, and I'm sure that people will have a lot of questions for you. I don't want to interrupt your flow, but I'd love to ask a question right now. Would that be all right?
Yeah, of course.
You're making me curious about something. I never thought about power on Haida Gwaii before. I'm guessing you get your power from Ontario Hydro, but how does Ontario Hydro get it to you?
Oh, we don't get, we work with, it's BC Hydro. So
I mean, sorry, that that's my past coming back to haunt me. I lived in Ontario for 30 years. Yeah, I meant BC Hydro. So how does the power come from? Where does it come from? And how does it get to you?
So yeah, we are off grid. So we rely on diesel generators, which is why we emit so many emissions. So we
Gotcha.
have yeah, we have two diesel generating facilities. We have one up in Old Masset and then one in Sandspit. We also have a hydroelectric dam as well. So northern Haida Gwaii is almost 100% runoff diesel. And then like, from Talal to Dajingides is about like approximately 70% runoff diesel, but it's also supported by the hydroelectric dam. But yeah, we are off grid. So that's why we contribute so much greenhouse gas emissions, is because we are running off diesel mostly.
Gotcha. So when you converted from, you converted to heat pumps, what were you converting from? Diesel furnaces?
Yeah, this was before my time. This was back in 20, but yeah, mostly yeah, like wood stove and yeah, diesel energy. Yeah.
And did that have an impact on your carbon footprint? Do you know?
I don't know offhand what the impact was in terms of reduction, but I mean, I imagine, there would be a reduction in the energy bills, and it is, heat pumps are
more efficient,
way more efficient. It's clean energy. It's, a lot of people are installing those now. It's kind of the way. So, so yeah, like it was a phenomenal initiative and upgrade. And, Skidegate has been an energy leader for a very long time. So, yeah, the heat pumps were an amazing step.
Great, thank you. Guy, you've got your hand up. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi Holly, greetings. It's really good to hear from you. I read recently that the Naikun wind energy project that came and went 20 years ago is back in play as of 2 years ago to generate offshore wind in the Hecate Strait to provide electricity for Haida Gwaii as a whole. And I also read that you have a solar farm project in the making, the Haida Energy solar farm project. Can you
Yes,
comment
yes.
on, can you tell us about both of those and how they're going?
Yeah, I can't comment much on the Nycoon. I'm not part of that project, so I can't give an update on that. But yeah, with the solar farm, very, very exciting. It's was constructed not too long ago at the Masset Airport. It's a 2-megawatt solar farm, and it's owned and operated by Haida Energy, which is a Haida-owned energy company. So it's a partnership between Old Masset Village Council, Skidegate Band Council, and the Council of the Haida Nation. So that has been an amazing project. And yeah, the installation of that solar farm has reduced diesel reduction on the north end by about, I want to say it's between 8 and 9%. So yeah, the installation of that solar farm it's been an amazing accomplishment. And yeah, Haida Energy is been doing really great work. They won a Community Energy Award at the Clean BC conference this past year on community engagement and just overall energy initiative. So
yeah. Linked to that, our local First Nations people being trained in the maintenance of solar and the installation of more solar. Are you getting the skills transfer that's going on with this, or was it a company? Yeah.
The during the construction of the solar farm, it was the crew were all Haida, and they were all trained up on how to install solar panels. And so yeah, the knowledge and the training has been built through that solar farm, which is great. So any sort of any further solar projects, that training is there.
Thanks.
Tara, I see you've got your hand up, and I'd like to encourage anybody else who has questions to get in the queue. If you haven't, I'm probably preaching to the converted on this. We're all so conversant with Zoom nowadays. But if you're new to Zoom, just use the reaction button at the bottom of your thing to raise your hand.
Oh?
Go ahead, Tara.
Yeah, okay. My question is because I'm environment committee hat out here is on deep home retrofit. And do you have the band council approving it? And then
Oh, I think Tara cut out a bit.
She's frozen. She told me earlier she was having some trouble with her internet. Did you get enough of the question, Holly, to be able to start to answer it?
Yeah, I think she was asking about the deep home energy retrofits and if the band council had approved it. That's what I heard. And yeah. yes. Yeah, the Skidegate Band Council has been at the core of the conversation and has been in support and has been part of the process the entire time. Yeah.
Are there plans to do more solar now that you've had success? I mean, that's quite a notable success that you've had with one solar project. Is there a plan to do more of that?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there are some plans underway to have more solar going on. I don't think all the details have been laid out yet, but yeah, the answer is yes, is that there are more plans to build on solar through Haida Energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Monica, you've got a question?
Hi, Holly, thanks for this. Yes, I was just wondering, kind of in the bigger picture, I know you gave at the beginning, you gave the numbers for how much diesel Haida Gwaii goes through, but I also read numbers that is something like 40% of BC's diesel footprint or something like that. And I'm just wondering, since the BC government has its own targets for reducing reliance on diesel, and Haida Gwaii seems to be such a high percentage on its own, is there any specific cooperation with the government or any help from the government or anything that's coming you know, to help Haida Gwaii advance as part of the province's advancement?
Yeah, like I can only speak, I'm not involved in all the conversations with this, but you know, I can say that obviously like you know, the province and Canada have their targets, and Talyata have their targets as well, and they're both in alignment. You know, it's wanting to get off diesel. So I mean, yes, there are, you know, conversations and collaborations happening in efforts to get off diesel, and that collaboration will be key to achieving those goals. So yes, like working with the provincial government will be a very critical piece in achieving this target, and it's, that movement is present. So yeah.
Guy?
Yeah, it's me again. I'm wondering, with the carbon tax increasing every year, presumably you're paying a carbon tax on that diesel that you're using every year. Is that being paid by the individuals or by the power generation plant that creates the electricity from the diesel? And is there any of the carbon rebates flowing to people on Haida Gwaii, you know, to counteract the impact of the carbon tax? It's a bit of a complex tech question, but I don't know if you have the answer.
I actually don't have the answer, but I can find out. But I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Because I know that it's a big thing. The Conservatives in Canada make a big thing about, oh, the carbon tax, everyone's suffering. They never point out the fact that most people get a rebate that's bigger than the amount of money paid in carbon taxes. And I was wondering how that plays out on Haida Gwaii, and whether that can be used as a cash incentive to help people make the shift. So linked to this, what in your band as a whole, do you have people saying there's no such problem, there isn't a climate crisis, we don't need to bother? Do you get caught up with that climate denial stuff, or is everyone basically on board saying we have to deal with this?
Yeah, I think for the most part everybody's on. I have not heard anybody climate deniers. Yeah, everybody is on board.
You're fortunate.
In my experience, yeah.
That actually generates another question for me, which is where do people on Haida Gwaii see the climate crisis impacting them now?
I don't know. I think that's a really individual question. Like, yeah, like I think that, you know, most people want to be off, you know, want to be contributing and getting off diesel on the island, and you know, how and in what way people want to contribute to that, I think is really diverse. And I don't know, I can't really speak for that, but I can say that, you know, we are working on community engagement. So we are hoping to have some community engagement sessions coming up where the community of Haida Gwaii can get together and talk about what their vision is, and everybody can contribute to like what that plan looks like in getting off diesel. But
I guess
yeah.
I'm kind of projecting my own experience with how I'm experiencing climate change here. I'm seeing it in my garden, you know. I'm seeing it in the fact that I went to bed last night. We usually around this time of the year, we stop going to bed with our windows open because it's too cold to do that. And what I noticed is I woke up this morning at 3 o'clock because the windows were closed and it was too hot. And I'm noticing it in my everyday life around heat, and how the heat is affecting plants in my garden, how it's affecting the trees in the park. I live close to Beacon Hill Park, and I'm seeing it in all those places. And I guess I'm curious as to whether people on Haida Gwaii are motivated by seeing things like that, or are they motivated as much by that as they are the motivation to just get off diesel, because diesel is dirty and diesel is expensive. And if they had more local generation of power, they would save money. You know, which of those factors is more important, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation because, yeah, it's like there's almost two, the way I see it is like there's two kind of realms. Like, you know, there's the personal where it's like what you said, you know, there's things you experience in your day-to-day life, you know, going for a walk, seeing, you know, being colder, like seeing the change, seeing berries come out later, and like just seeing the shifts as you experience life, and how that reflects on how you view climate change and what you want to do as an individual to contribute into action climate change. And then there's like the bigger scope of like our impact, like our, you know, the numbers and the impact on like how Haida Gwaii as a whole contributes to climate change. So yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation because there's different ways to look at it and view it. And you know, for me, it's like, yeah, like I just feel it around, you know, you just feel the difference in the climate and the changes. And so for me, it motivates me in my own day-to-day work to really make a difference in all that I can. So
Guy, you've got another question.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can help to we're all learning around this, and I'm curious, what is the relationship between the Haida Nation and the Skidegate First Nation? Are you one and the same, or how does it work?
It's I work for the Skidegate Band Council, and so Skidegate is a Haida community, and then we have Old Masset, which is a Haida community on northern Haida Gwaii, and then we have the Council of the Haida Nation, which is the governing body. So it's yeah, all working together, yeah, but each with their own differences. And so, yeah.
Do members of the Skidegate Band Council then send representatives to the Council of the Haida Nation? Is that how it works?
I feel like, honestly, I don't know enough to speak on all the details of that, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
I have another question. I don't want to take up too much airtime here. Oh, good. Monica's got one. We'll let Monica ask one.
Holly, I just remember that you said in your presentation something about coastal First Nations and working together with coastal First Nations. Can you tell us a little bit more about the relationship that you have through your work with them? Is there some type of coalition? Is there combined work? How is that factoring?
Yeah. So I'm a climate action coordinator. Kevin Brown is the climate action coordinator in Old Masset. And then there's climate action coordinators in many different Indigenous communities along the BC coast. And so Coastal First Nations is kind of like that network hub. So we have like monthly meetings where we get together and share all the different initiatives each of us are working on. You know, there's conferences, so there's lots of learning opportunities as well. So yeah, it's really just it's a network for us all to kind of gather and share ideas and problem solve and collaborate where we can on energy initiatives. They're a phenomenal network, and they've been very, very supportive. So yeah.
Tara?
Yeah, I hope I don't get cut off again. I just want.
Oh, she got cut off again.
The chief or off again.
Tara, turn your video off while you're asking.
Or put the question in the chat.
Okay. The chat function
So while she's doing that, Eden, Holly, have you come across Hannah Eden? Hannah Edenshaw from the North Island, who's one of the young people who was part of the Greater Toonberry protests and actually in a climate challenge against the BC government.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
A woman called Hannah Edenshaw,
Uh-huh.
member of the Sitz-Gittany clan of the Haida Nation, who's one of 15 Canadian youth suing the Canadian government to contribute to climate change.
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering if she's been crossed your radar.
No, she hasn't, but I would really like to. But no, I haven't had the opportunity.
I put her details in the chat there. It may be in North Island. Do you talk North Island, South Island, or do you talk what's your language you use for the two islands of Haida Gwaii?
I guess I would say North Island. I don't.
Okay, yeah. She's on the North Island, I think.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
She won an award.
I don't know if this is the question Tara was going to ask or not. It sounded like she might be going in that direction, but I was curious. You talked earlier about, in the context of training, that you were partnering with First Nations in other coastal areas of BC. Am I correct in assuming that that means not just on Haida Gwaii, but on mainland coastal areas of BC? Where they're also living relatively isolated and have need to transfer technology in there so that they're able to do their own installation and repair.
Sorry, so question, are we working with other Indigenous?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you were going beyond the Haida Gwaii and going into the mainland, coastal areas of the mainland. Are you working with those First Nations?
I'm not personally right now, but I think that it would be great, like I was mentioning with the heat pump technician training, like it's just an idea, right? But yeah, like developing an actual solid heat pump technician training curriculum that could be available to other communities, coastal communities that want to take that training. And it would be because you have your HVAC, refrigeration, full heat pump technician training that's already offered, right? But that takes about 3 years. So the intent of this would be different. It would be, you'd have to like essentially cater a certain program based on the community needs. So it wouldn't be a full HVAC technician certificate, but it would be something that you can be doing significant work on heat pumps, without having to go through 3 years. Like, how can we kind of move, how can we shift the box a bit, and how can we create something new that can get our needs met, and if we can train and share those resources together, then why not?
Exactly. Why reinvent the wheel? Mm-hmm. You guys have learned how to do this because you're probably the most isolated of the BC coastal communities, and you have knowledge that you could transfer into other coastal communities that are confronting the same issues. I'm also curious about wind. I don't know what the wind situation is on Haida Gwaii. I'm imagining that you probably have a fair amount of it. And is that anything that you've looked at?
Yes, we do have a lot of wind here, and it is something that we're looking at. I'm not personally involved in wind developments, but I know it is something that is being looked at.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense to look at that.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, the other thing about wind, of course, is that you've got, I guess redundancy is the word that comes to mind. When the sun isn't shining, the wind is blowing, right?
Mm. Yeah. How can we harness the different forms of energy, for sure? And wind is a big element here. So yeah, it's definitely being looked at, for sure.
Yeah. Brian, you haven't had a chance to ask a question yet, and you've got your hand up. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I'll throw one in. Just wondering if the North Island and South Island grids are interconnected.
They're not.
Or
no. They're not interconnected. No.
So you have 2 diesel sources at least, then.
Yeah.
That makes it even harder. Is there opportunity to connect the two?
There's a need, and there have been, again, I'm not involved in those discussions, but I know there are discussions. So, but yeah, yeah, it'd be nice
And
to
just
have
for
them
the benefit of,
interconnected.
yeah, just for the benefit of everybody else, that it's obvious to me, but maybe not other people, but if they're not connected, then putting wind generator in the North Island doesn't help the South Island and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Yeah. Tara, I'm not sure if your hand is a legacy hand and you're out of commission, or speak up if you need to speak. Otherwise, I'm probably going to drop your hand for you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so I was just wanting to ask Holly, Chief Richard Hall from the Nushalk Nation, he has a carpentry school in the Bella Bella area, and they're also into deep home retrofits. And I was wondering, is there a possibility of having something like a heat pumps, school, or would that be a thing that, Coast Salish nations, along with the nations on the mainland or the island, would that be a possibility in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be great. That would be the idea, right? Like something like that, but with heat pump technician training. So yeah, I mean, I think that model is exactly it would be a good fit, I think. Yeah, Richard Hall is phenomenal. I know he's created his own building plan designs that are specific for Indigenous coastal communities with cultural components inlaid within the housing design, and he's an amazing person.
Super. Guy, you got another question?
Yeah, Holly, I'm wondering whether you've been in contact with what the Heiltsuk First Nation are doing with their big heat pump initiative, whether you're collaborating at all. And also, you mentioned that you got 350 heat pumps installed. What percentage of that what percentage of the total buildings is that? Is that everyone, or how many houses are still burning oil, for their heating?
Yeah, so for the heat pumps, yeah, so 350, it's pretty much every home in Skidegate. So it was a huge overhaul. There might be one, or there might be a couple that don't, but it was almost every home. So
yeah, and have you been in contact with the Heiltsuk? I put their link in.
Yeah, Leona Humshit is
yes,
an amazing human, and they have been huge leaders in clean energy with their heat pump installations. Their community energy plan is gold standard. It's it's phenomenal, and so definitely have spent some time with Leona and have heard her speak about all the amazing initiatives that she's doing in her community, and yeah, very, very honored to have shared some time with her.
That's good to hear. Yeah. Well, what's the current cutting edge of change in terms of new ideas that are circulating? Because if the ideal is to get off the grid entirely, you actually have to deal with energy storage as well, don't you? Because there's going to be a lot of days on Haida Gwaii when you get no sun.
Yes, battery storage is an essential component for sure, which is definitely
Is there a big strategic plan involving people like New Relationships Trusts and the BC, clean energy finance sources to actually get you completely off the grid with the necessary investments needed to do that?
We don't have.
I don't mean off the grid. I mean off diesel. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think we're all. Yeah, there's lots of new, right? So it's a lot of talking and what that can look like in the future. So there's lots of discussions happening for sure on what that can look like.
Yeah. And does that include transportation as well? Because I mean, obviously the distances you're driving are very small, but electric vehicles are very expensive. So
like ground transportation on Haida Gwaii, I think it would be great to have some public transportation, which we don't have right now. So I personally think it would be great to have some sort of public transit in some capacity here, but that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have school buses that carry kids?
Yes.
Have you been part of the electric school bus initiative? Each year when the money comes up to apply for funding for electric school buses, you can get in the loop to apply for funding to have an electric school bus instead of a diesel powered one, which is also spewing out fumes for the children, right?
Oh, I was in a conference, and yes, that was brought up. And actually it's funny you mentioned that, because that was the one thing that really stuck out to me that whole conference was that. So I should really look into
And
that.
what about cycling and electric bicycles? Is that something that's taken off as a way of getting around without having to buy gasoline all the time?
There are electric bike rentals here.
That's probably for the tourists mostly though, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, like I wouldn't say that it's like a thing here.
Yeah.
What about
to my knowledge?
Just a point on the electric buses, that if you're running diesel to power the electrical grid and then have an electric bus, it doesn't really gain you much until you get to the wind and solar power.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering about e-cars. Do you have any e-cars on the island, and what kind of infrastructure do you have to support them?
There are some electric vehicles on island. There's a couple EV, there's a couple EV charging stations. We're talking with BC Hydro to get a couple installed here. We don't have BC Hydro EV charging stations here yet, but the plan is to have them installed here fairly shortly. Yeah.
John Grogan has got a question.
Yeah, thank you. I've got a couple context questions. In BC Hydro, we have two-tiered rates. I wonder about, do you have something similar to that? Also, smart meters. Have you been subjected to smart meters? And thirdly, I forget. I'll leave it at two. Do you pay an exorbitant rate for per kilowatt hour compared to BC Hydro, for instance? Thank you.
Yeah, we do have smart meters here. I don't personally I haven't worked much with the smart meters, but I know that we have them here. And we are paying a lot for our energy bills. Like I know that some people are paying up to like $500 every couple months for their energy bills. So we are spending a lot. We are spending a lot on our energy here. Sorry, I can't provide as much detail as I'm sure you had hoped, but yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you.
Well, do we have any other burning questions for Holly?
Well, I'm wondering, do you have future solar expansion planned? Because that's one way of clearly generating, at least in the summer. And presumably there's more energy use in the summer with all the tourists coming into the hotels and things like that and stuff, and plugging their electric cars in if they brought them on the ferry at enormous cost.
Yeah, there are plans to expand solar. I don't know all the details and how much, there are discussions to expand for sure, but
certainly the payback on a house, if the cost of solar is so low. Now this is on the mainland, obviously where there's some shipping costs, everything is more expensive for you, but here in the mainland, if you install solar over 30 years, it's an average of 6 cents a kilowatt hour, whereas we're now paying 12, 13 between tier 1 and tier 2, and in 30 years time we'll be paying 20 or 30 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's a very valuable long-term investment. And I presume in the summer you get pretty good solar quite a bit of the time, right?
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah.
I'm gonna skip to Richard, but I'll come back to you, Tara, because Richard hasn't had a chance to ask a question yet. He's got his hand up.
Oh, hi. Thanks. Yeah, and further to the electric bike rentals, so one possibility would be on off-peak times or off seasons is for the people that operate them to either rent them out or loan them out for for youth programming or some kind of program to let people try them out, or the members or locals to use them to kind of get around to see what they're like. We just had something like that with the Tsawwassen First Nation and Pedigo Delta, who loaned us some electric bikes for the afternoon, and they're keen to work with us, to do that more on off peak. So we may be working with them to do a program like that, and I expect something like that would probably also work up in Haida Gwaii as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, there's so much that that can be done here to make that energy shift for sure. So
Thanks.
And back to you, Tara.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Holly, there's a lot of rain, as we all know, in Haida Gwaii as well. Have you done anything around rainwater harvesting?
I don't know much. No, I don't. We have there's Yorebrook Energy that is a small they have a tidal model that yeah, Yorebrook Energy, that they're in tidal, and yeah, but that's all I know for that.
Yeah, thanks for
That
bringing up
begs the
tidal,
question, is there any?
because there's a question in the chat that was asking about tidal energy as a
Okay.
possibility from John. Something maybe to look into a little bit more.
I can share the experience on tidal energy, certainly down at Lester Pearson College on the South Island, was that the place where you have to put the tidal energy, where you get the greatest tidal rush, is the worst possible place to engineer it, because the tide is actually so strong. And they actually removed their turbines because there was so much interference with underwater debris and things like that, and they can only actually install them at slack tide. You have to get out of the water at other times, and they gave up on it as a non-viable thing. But micro hydro, because of all the rain you get, if you get little creeks and stuff, certainly on Skidegate, even the tiniest creeks, give them a 6-foot drop, and you've got a constant trickle of micro hydro, which then runs throughout the night. So you can feed battery storage, so you accumulate, power from the micro hydro that runs all the time. This on Skidegate, they're running homemade little micro hydro pumps that are probably not even approved technically. They're a Skidegate special model because they're so small, and so but they provide trickle power, certainly. I also had a question about the school. How much education do your school kids, young people, have around the climate crisis and the kind of work you're doing and the solutions, in the school?
Yeah, I think, youth is such an important component in the education, and them being involved as well, because they have such phenomenal ideas. And so the youth have been involved in different capacities. Wheelweed is a grassroots organization here, and I know that they've been involving youth in community engagement and just kind of like being very involved in those discussions. And I think that that's, again, a very critical piece of knowledge that needs to be incorporated in building up and looking at solutions moving forward. So yes, the youth are definitely involved for sure. Yeah.
Great.
Tara, is that a legacy hand, or did you have another question?
No, just one quick question. So pertaining to education, is there Indigenous knowledge? Is there a way of passing down Indigenous knowledge through community engagement?
Yeah, that's a core component. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And do you think that the white settler community on the South Island, Skidegate, are tuned into the Indigenous realities, or is it two worlds apart?
I think many are very, very tuned in. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we
This has been fascinating. It's so much. It's like immersing myself in a different reality and learning. Even the fact that you have two separate grids, that you're not connected to the North Island, so it's a, it's a separated world. You have to think about that.
Yes.
Beverly Kalmakoff is asking if you've got any initiatives around food production happening on the island.
I don't personally, but for food security, Kevin Brown, he's the climate action coordinator in Old Masset. That is definitely something that he's very, very passionate about. So yeah, if you'd like to learn more about food security initiatives, Kevin would be the person to talk to for sure on that. But yes, there's lots and lots being done here to in regards to food security here.
So most of our food is imported on the ferry?
A lot, but then there's a lot of like a lot of people live off the land and the sea here, so that's where a lot of the protections coming from for food security perspective. So, but we do also get food shipped here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I've been imagining myself living. I mean, it's a big jump from being on a big island like Vancouver Island, where basically we have everything here but IKEA, is what I always say, to living on little islands like Haida Gwaii, and so 7 hours away from the mainland. It's mind-blowing to put yourself into that place and figure what it would be like, and how could you make it be as sustainable as possible to be living in that place.
Yeah, I feel so very honored to have a small role in climate action here. So I feel very, very, very grateful. Yeah.
But Beverly Kalmakoff is also asking, given you're on an island, how do you handle garbage and recycling? I mean, if you recycle stuff, where does all the recycled stuff go? Does it have to be put back on the ferry? Are there initiatives to?
Yeah, it has to be put back on the ferry, and it's there definitely could be improvements to recycling, and I think that there are talks about new recycling initiatives here as well. So, but yeah, it's definitely a bit of a cumbersome process to get recycling on and off island.
Yeah, but even if you recycle, say, all the cans or bottles, what do you do with the material? Because what's your total population on Skidegate?
There's about 360 in Skidegate. Yeah.
People?
Yeah.
But you said that's in the. You said there were 360 homes earlier that had heat pumps.
350.
Yeah, so there must be more than one person per home. So what's the total?
Yeah, I guess I don't know the exact number, but yeah.
Yeah. And John's asking, is Haida Gwaii its own regional district, or is it outside the regional district governance that the rest of us do in British Columbia?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Tara, have you got another question?
Yes, just a quick one. Holly, there's
Oops, there we go.
I think we lost her again.
Yeah.
I have an important meeting to go to right now, so I have to get off the phone now.
Well, I want to thank you very quickly before you go. It's been wonderful having you here. It's been much more educational than I even imagined. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, and if you could all unmute yourselves, we can also collectively say thank you for taking the time to share with us all. So feel to unmute and just say thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you so much.
Be well.
Yes, be well, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Have a good day and weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
That was really, really interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.